and welcome back to Blue Flag Bandits, the series that drives F1's worst cars since 2010, so you don't have to, in the often fairly desperate hunt for points. And we're into the final throes of the 2016 season. It is the United States Grand Prix from the Circuit of the Americas, and we arrive after our 6th DNF of the year in a particularly scruffy Japanese Grand Prix. We might have actually scored points if I'd maybe just not tried to go around the outside of Valtteri Bottas at 130R. We ended up in the wall, we lost 2 wheels, we were out of the race, and that's why the rivalry with Jenson Button, as you can see, is fairly close. And we're also only on target in terms of the team's expectations. It also could have been better in the championship. We stuck where we were at 12th place with 62 points, just 4 behind Button. And I'd say still 23 behind Massa. We might still be in the hunt for 8th spot, but Lewis Hamilton leads Nico Rosberg by 87. Nico has really come back in the last few rounds to try and defend his title. Max Verstappen's in 3rd, ahead of Raikkonen, Ricciardo, Vettel, Bottas, Massa, Perez, Hulkenberg, and then Button, and myself. We're just ahead of Fernando Alonso, with Kvyat, Magnussen. Wehrlein with 15 points is 16th in the standings. He might still catch K-Mag as well, but he's only just ahead of Carlos Sainz. Gutierrez, Grosjean, Nasser, Palmer and Ericsson finally picked up points, so all 22 drivers have scored. In the Constructors, Mercedes lead for Red Bull by 117, with Ferrari just 13 further back. Williams kind of in their own little bubble there, 80 behind Ferrari and 68 clear of Force India, who are 5th, McLaren are 6th, we're 7th, very much in our own little bubble ahead of Toro Rosso, Renault, Haas and Sauber. And yeah, 6 retirements in 2016. It's been a tricky season for the most part. I'd say with the exception of maybe Hungary, I think we've actually been in a position to score points pretty much everywhere, and we've conspired not to. Sometimes thanks to AI shenanigans, sometimes thanks to, very much like Suzuka, our own over-exuberance trying to defend or trying to attack and keep our mana in the points, which has kind of cost us a few times this season. 88 points is still the top score in this series, and that's what we were Jenson Button last season in 2015, 80 points back in the first season with Virgin Racing. So 62, we are still, with 4 rounds to go, we are still in with a shout of making this the most successful car in the series, amazingly. And we're headed to Sauber next as well, so it's Sauber and Williams and Haas kind of appear quite a lot in the next few seasons until we get to 2025 when we're driving for Alpine. So a lot at stake for Mana, I think, in this final season of theirs. 4 races left, like I say, United States first, then it's Mexico, Brazil and Abu Dhabi. So it's going to be interesting to see if we can pick up the points to make this the best season. Practice, you'd say, is probably going to be key, but we know where we're going to end up, probably down the back. I'm going to go practice. While we do, we'll talk about the real world. 2016 United States Grand Prix. Circuit of the Americas is the next destination on the calendar, and after Mercedes secured the Constructors' title in the previous round in Japan, attention turned to the Drivers' title with Rosberg leading teammate Hamilton by 33 points. The Constructors' champions were on form immediately in the practice session, while a few others would hit trouble. Button, Ericsson, Grosjean and Gutierrez would all come to a stop during practice 1, while the VSC would make an appearance for debris from Vettel's Ferrari. Hamilton would lead Rosberg, with Verstappen in 3rd, the Red Bull nearly 2 seconds slower than Hamilton. We would cause problems in the second practice session, the red flag briefly being flown to clear up bits of Haas. Mercedes' rivals would at least close the gap somewhat in the second session. Rosberg topped the times ahead of Ricciardo and Hamilton. Flags would also appear in the final practice after Wehrlein span at the final corner and ended up stuck in the gravel, being told multiple times to switch his engine off while he waited for marshals to move him. Mercedes would hold back in the final practice session, leaving Verstappen's top times ahead of Ricciardo and Raikkonen. Q1 wouldn't end with any major shocks, save for Button dropping out after being impeded by Jolyon Palmer on his first run, though the Renault would make it through. Button would be joined by both Manners, Magnussen, Grosjean and Nasser in the elimination zone. Mercedes and Verstappen would get through the Q2 on the harder compounded tyres to give them a strategic advantage for the race, while the usual suspects found themselves dropping out in Q2. Perez, Alonso, Kvyat, Gutierrez, Parr and Ericsson.
If the situation changes, we'll let you know.
As had been the case for a number of seasons, Mercedes were battling themselves for pole. Rosberg running wide at turn 1 on his first run. The German would hit back on his second run, but Hamilton would manage to outpace his teammate for pole, his first at COTA. Rosberg would line up second ahead of Ricciardo, Verstappen, Raikkonen, Vettel, Hulkenberg, Bottas, Massa and Sainz. Hamilton had struggled with starts through 2016, but he managed a clean getaway, forcing Rosberg to the outside of turn 1, in turn opening the door for Ricciardo to sneak through. Raikkonen and Vettel would also make moves at the start, passing Verstappen in a similar manner. Strategy was going to be key for Rosberg after falling behind Ricciardo at the start, the Mercedes moving to the medium tyre at his first stop to extend his middle stint. Verstappen would also need to use pit stops to his advantage, the Dutchman exited in the pits behind Raikkonen and Button. Raikkonen would dive at the inside of Button, with Verstappen being impatient and making him move quickly to stay in pursuit of the Finn. Verstappen would make his move on lap 13, cutting to the inside of the Finn to get ahead. Ferrari would move Raikkonen to a 3-stop strategy in an attempt to get back ahead of the Red Bull. Verstappen got a call to up his pace, but he mistakenly believed the message was to pit, costing him 12 seconds while his pit crew rushed to get some tyres to put in his car. Things would go from bad to worse for the number 33 as he was struck by a gearbox failure, cruising around at drastically reduced speed. He'd find an access point to stop beside, but he was unable to get the car into neutral, making it harder to clear away. The VSC was deployed, an action which inadvertently cost Ricciardo second to Rosberg, the German able to pit and lose less time than his rival. Away from the podium, Raikkonen would drag a wheel gun within his final pit stop, costing him the chance to fight for a higher spot, while the battle for the middle of the points played out between Sainz, Alonso and Massa, the latter pair coming together, while Alonso carved his way past. Hamilton would be untroubled at the front, taking his 7th win of the season to at least close the gap to Rosberg in the championship by a few points, as Rosberg would take second, ahead of Ricciardo, Vettel, Alonso, Sainz, Massa, Perez, Button and Grosjean. Chaotic and ultimately scrappy race at Japan, we arrived at COTA hoping to get back to point scoring lines with just a few rounds left of 2016. We should be able to get out of Q1 here, feels like a track that really suits this manner, but Q3 might just be a little too much of a stretch. Let's aim for 14th place and have a solid mid-grid spot to start to attack from.
We're expecting qualifying to start any minute here in Austin, Texas, where drivers will be hoping to top the timesheets today and be ready for tomorrow's US Grand Prix. It always looked like the kind of track that asks an awful lot of the rear tyres, such as the frequency of low-speed exits.
Well, tyre management is key here, specifically the rears. It's all too easy to overheat and wear the rear tyres as they're punished out of the low-speed corners. Most teams won't be able to avoid some kind of issue here, especially the teams that are running less downforce.
In the garage then for Q1 at the United States Grand Prix, practice was, as it normally is, back of the field. But we know that we improved come qualifying and we got a bit more pace in the car than potentially what we're running in practice. This isn't a bad circuit. Of the 3 American circuits we now have in the sport, this is by far my favourite. It's a tough circuit, particularly in these early Codemasters games. It just feels a little different to how it does now. But we've had all right results around here, I think. So hopefully we can get back into Q2 after a poor Japanese Grand Prix and use that to our advantage. Look then at our fastest lap in Q1, which actually turned out to be our first lap heading up the hill towards turn number 1. Really tight, slightly off camber hairpin. Managed to clip the apex really nicely there and get a good run out on the power nice and early. And then it's into the S's section, the American version of Magnets and Beckett's essentially. Can take a fair amount of curb through here, but having to be a little bit cautious to try and not get pinned to track limits. Costs us at the end as we run a little wide, but we slingshot into this tail end of the S's section before heading down the hill towards the next hairpin in the big back straight. Car's feeling pretty good. Early in the session though, so there is still a little bit of rear slip. But we get on the brakes nice and early here. We get on the power without wheel spinning or oversteering too much before getting down the back straight. It's just a case of sitting with your foot to the floor and waiting to get the braking zone right. That's the hope. Anyway, as we hit the brakes just at the right time, get turned in, clip the inside apex, run a little wide, catch the outside just to keep the car in line, and then this double right into tight left, or double left potentially, section. So many different lines through here. I like to take a tight line to use the camber at the inside of that left-hander, and then into this long right-hander. I have to keep lifting off here because the car just will not keep the power on and get round. But then it's into the final couple of corners. Andretti being the last of them at the end of this little mini straight. Can again use a lot of the curve on the inside to then get the power on early. DRS is open. Decent lap. Should be enough to get us through.
You're in P6. That lap puts you into P6.
Q1 comes to an end then with Max Verstappen at the top of the times ahead of Rosberg and Hamilton. The usual mix of drivers up there, but both Haas's 10th and 11th at their home Grand Prix. We end the session 13th. Possibly could have got a little bit more out of the car, where between the two Ferraris are only around the soft compound tyres. Massa also down there as well. Magnussen makes it through. Pascal unfortunately drops out alongside Nazat, Palmer, Kvyat, Sainz and Ericsson. So at least that means we're into Q2 after the disappointment in Japan. Not sure we've got the pace to go any further, but let's see what the next session holds. In the garage then for Q2 in Texas. Good, we're through. That's something after what happened in Japan. I just don't feel very confident through the S's section at the start of the lap here. Car doesn't feel like it's got enough downforce to really push. Costing me a bit of time, I think. Listen, a mid-grid starting spot's going to be better than the back, so that's something. But I don't know if Q3 is doable, and we might not be able to beat Jenson Button either. But let's get out there, see what we can do. This is like then in Q2. You can see the clouds have come in since Q1, and much like the first session, it's the first lap that's the best one. Heading up the hill into turn number 1. Nice on the brakes, really well done there. Clip the inside apex. Take just a little bit of the outside before swinging the car into the right-hander. Take a little bit too much of a curve on the inside there, which unsettles us a touch, but we're able to get through here by just lifting off a little bit again. An awful lot of curve through the final little part, but we haven't run wide at least, so that costs less time than it did in Q1. Up and over the crest now, going towards the hairpin at the end of the back straight. This lap really does fly by much quicker than you expect it to when you look at the layout of the circuit. You get into the hairpin again. Apex on the inside wonderfully well, and then apex on the outside just to settle the car a little bit. Down the long back straight with the DRS wide open. The car is still feeling pretty good, but the temperatures are probably lower with the cloud cover. So we're not seemingly able to get the power down easily. Take a little bit of time to get on the gas, coming out of the hairpin at the end of the back straight, but then it's into the double right-hander and into the double left. Once again, looking to try and use the camber on the inside to rotate the car, which is exactly what we do, but we do run a touch wider than I would have hoped, and to back out just a little bit, just to save us going off circuit. Again, having to just lift off through this long right-hander to just try and keep the car in track limits. And then a little early into the corner, but then towards Andretti, the final corner of the lap. And then again, if you can make the curb on the inside, we can use that to our advantage. Get the DRS open. Decent lap. Is it going to be enough to get us through? Qualifying comes to an end for us in P12 in the end. Not far off. We were fighting on our final flying lap to just try and pip Valtteri Bottas, and somebody else jumped in ahead of us. But Ricciardo tops the times ahead of Rosberg, Verstappen, Hamilton. Then you've got Vettel, Alonso, Raikkonen, Perez is up there with Bagnamata. We're not going alongside Valtteri Bottas, Nico Hülkenberg, Gutierrez, Grosjean and Magnussen. But P12 is a fairly solid mid-grid spot, not far outside the points. Make moves early, as we've done all this season. Find ourselves in the points and then defend and fight to keep hold of them. I feel the first lap though here could be quite chaotic. So, it's going to be one of those ones I think we just have to maybe just try and be careful. But let's cross the race, see how that works out for us.
What fantastic enthusiasm we have for Formula One here in the United States of America. And it's an enthusiasm born from generations of memorable Grand Prix racing. Bruce McLaren took his maiden victory at Sebring way back in 1959, and John Watson's 1983 victory at Long Beach, well, that still holds the record for the lowest ever starting position for a race winner. We're racing today then in Travis County, Texas, where 20 corners and speeds of up to 200 miles an hour await us on this magnificent racetrack. It's 60% full throttle with plenty of good opportunities to pass, especially through the two DRS zones into turn 1 and at the end of the long back straight into turn 12. What a race we have in store today. With me today is Anthony Davidson, a man who knows this circuit quite well. Why do you think, though, Ants, that this Grand Prix has now found such huge success since returning to the calendar in 2012?
Well, full credit to the race promoters. They have a Grand Prix in a part of the country famed for its love of motorsport, and they do a fantastic job of advertising it to the right crowd, and then satisfying them when they're here with excellent facilities. It also tends to help when the circuit itself is good, and that's definitely true here. The layout is interesting and it produces some exciting action. Hosting a thrilling title decider like we had in 2015 wouldn't hurt either, so the pressure's on then to maintain that kind of quality here today.
It's a steep incline into turn 1 that'll help you scrub speed off. There are multiple lines, so be sure to make use of them.
With that then, let's run through the grid order. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he starts from pole position. And Nico Rosberg completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Ricciardo, Vettel, Lewis Hamilton, and Raikkonen, Massa, Alonso, Perez, and Jenson Button, Bottas, and Amana, Nico Hülkenberg, and Gutierrez, Grosjean, Magnussen, Pascal Wehrlein, and Felipe Nasser, Palmer and Kvyat, Carlos Sainz, and Marcus Ericsson rounds off the grid. Now it's almost time to lights out, so let's go down to the track.
Thank you very much, Ant and Crofty, and as you can see, it is heavy rain in Texas. Had a lot of wet races this season. I do very much recall actually earlier on in the season in Spain. I don't know, when was the last time we had a properly wet race in this series? Well, 2016 has been the year of the torrential downpour. Wet races as well, as we've seen a lot of times this season, we do very well. So this could be a really good day for us. We're down in 12th. It looks like as well, if you looked at the times in the grid order there, that I think maybe it was an intermediate Q3 because we're 2 seconds quicker than Verstappen's pole time. So that would suggest it might have got a bit damp come the final part of qualifying, which would have really stood us in good stead if we'd made it, but never mind. The race is hopefully going to bear fruit for us. I said that the aim really now is the 88 points scored as Jenson Button in 2015, even the 80 scored back in 2010 driving for Virgin Racing. So it means we've got to score, and we've got to score big. Think about it, second place, 18 points there would take us up to 80. We'd be there. Yeah, maybe, potentially. my maths failing me because I've forgotten what number of points we're already on. But never mind. Yeah, points have got to be on the cards. We've really got to go for it. I don't think we'll make it to the front, but maybe if we've just got more grip and more traction, we can have a really, really good day of it. Think back to places like Austria, Spain, Monza as well. In conditions like this, we made it through turn 1 and we led basically the entire way to the end. Let's go for P5 as our goal. Hopefully we can get more out of this one. And if the AI have their own issues, who knows, we might find ourselves pulling another Monza out back. Wouldn't that be lovely? But in this torrential rain, it's time to get the 5 red lights on and out again for the 2016 United States Grand Prix. Look at the lights then, 4 and 5. And away we go. The hole was a little lengthy. We've had a bit of a poor getaway. Alonso's had a poor getaway up ahead as well. A few wide into turn 1. Well, stay to the inside, get on the brakes, and we're already up to 5th. Check the outside, make sure nobody's there. We're side by side with Ricciardo Rainey outside of the Red Bull. Nearly drift into him. He's given us a little nudge there. There's a yellow flag. He's ranked, Perez is ranked, we're 4th. Looks like everybody's still in the race, but there has been some shenanigans. Ricciardo was with us, obviously. He survived with no damage. I think the top 3 in the championship lead the way. Hamilton 3rd. We've got Verstappen and Rosberg, I guess, up there as well. We're in 4th spot. Really solid start. Going to take a little bit of getting used to through the first sector in these conditions, though, I think. Because that is a fast-flowing, flat-out section in the drive. As I said in qualifying, quite difficult in these cars. Not got the incredible levels of downforce of the modern machinery, and obviously this car would have even less, just because of its development or lack thereof. Kimi Räikkönen, we're sort of trying to close on the back of the top 3. I think it's Verstappen, Rosberg, Hamilton. Pretty sure I saw the 2 Mercedes line astern. He's drifting about all over the place as we get on the power though. Across the line in P4 here. Solid start to this race.
Rosberg has just made a pass for the lead.
Rosberg has just gone round Verstappen at the end of the straight. You can see the front 3 aren't exactly running away. Keep fighting with each other, that's just going to help us. Cautious couple of laps, just trying to get a gauge for the conditions out here, because it is tricky. Lots of corners like this. Begging the car to over-rotate. So Verstappen's lost. Oh, he could be about to lose a position to the other Mercedes, and he does. Rosberg looks to be pulling away at the front seat. Just a little gap opening up between them, but Hamilton now into 2nd. That means that Verstappen is the weaker of the 3 here.
We should see a transition to light rain in around 10 minutes' time. Okay, some information on Perez. They're slowing down. It seems like there's some kind of problem with their car.
Information all that's then Perez, who's probably still down at the back now, slowing down, so not a good day for the Mexican. A bit wide, but there's also talk of it transitioning to lighter rain. Yes, it might dry up, or at least move into intermediate conditions. Just out of Räikkönen's reach here.
I definitely think we need to stay on this tyre a bit longer, but there's no question is drying, we might be in a position to change soon.
Expected Jeff moment there, as he says that we might be able to move to intermediate soon. Doesn't look like the conditions are getting any better. But since the two Mercedes, who, as you can see, kind of in their own little fight, since they got past Verstappen, not a huge amount has happened. They had a scruffy lap or so, which allowed Raikkonen to close in, but we're starting to find our rhythm a little bit now. We're just edging closer to Verstappen's Red Bull.
Rosberg's really going for it. He's just put in the best lap of the race so far. The distance to the leader is 5.1 seconds.
Rosberg had indeed put the best lap in, but we have gone and eclipsed that. In confidence at the moment. Starting to just close up to the back of Verstappen. Curves through this first sector, but also freewheel quite a lot. Seems to be helping. Actually in the pits, Pascal, one of the cars that's in, might have to check to see if they're going back to the full wet. You would have thought I would have had a call about moving to the inters.
To an alternate strategy.
It might be now.
Change or stick to plan A?
It is now.
Copy that. Hamilton has just taken the lead.
Switch around at the front. Hamilton's gone past Rosberg just before they go to pit, because I'd assume they're all going to come in now. Or at least one of the two of them will. And he's in. Sure. Find out in a minute. Verstappen is also in. They're going to come in. Raikkonen is in. So I guess that means Vettel is out. Verstappen's in. Hamilton's the one that came in. Verstappen will get past us fairly comfortably as well. He will stay out ahead of Raikkonen and only slipped to 5th. It's only because Vettel stayed out.
Up to speed now. Let's get some heat into those tyres.
Of course, we'll be coming in at the end of this lap. We're back into 4th, surely. Rosberg in the pits now. We'll jump the Mercedes. Should, however, jump the Ferrari of Vettel. Now Hamilton will get back past him. Verstappen might get past him, you know. They're going to go into turn 1 side by side. This could give me an opportunity to get involved in this fight. Exceeded track limits then, because the back end stepped down, but we are right with these two. Rosberg struggling immediately out the pits. Stay in the slipstream, see if we can also have an opportunity. Verstappen doesn't have one. The light. Daniel Ricciardo's in the race. Just at the fastest lap, and he's just pulled to the side of the road. He is out. I wonder if he's binned it, rather than it being a mechanical problem. No safety car as yet.
I think we're still on the right tyres for the time being.
Telling me something you didn't already know, obviously. That still tricky in here. Much keeping Verstappen honest through the start of the final sector. This is, I think, where we lose a little bit of time. I'm a little cautious through here. Just so we don't over-rotate the car or do that.
You've been awarded
there we go.
A penalty for that last incident.
why. I'm pretty sure that was in my second warning, but sure. For us, we're 5 clear of Raikkonen. So we'd hold on to 4th as things stand. The yellow flag for Verstappen comes to a complete halt at the final corner. He's going again. I don't know what happened there. But it does mean that we sweep round him into 3rd. Raikkonen will go past him as well. No idea what just happened. Verstappen just stopped. Well, I noticed him before we turned the corner then, because that would have been front wing ending. We're taking our normal racing line. Just got to try and pull the 3+ second gap. Currently just shy of 4 back to Raikkonen. If he's fighting with Verstappen now, that could stand out a little bit more. Verstappen closing on us, and with our penalty, and Raikkonen where he is as well, I think we're probably staring at about 5th spot, which is what we wanted, I guess. There's an opportunity for a podium here, but starting to struggle on these tyres. It's not dry enough yet for the switch to dries, but the rain is easing off. Scruffy laps as well. Hoping that Verstappen and Raikkonen would fight. Free to scamper off a little bit, but that hasn't happened. It might be falling off just far enough for me to keep at least 4th, but I'm not entirely convinced. That was dropped way off, so there's a nice big gap behind Raikkonen.
Some information on Verstappen. They're slowing down. It seems like there's some kind of problem with their car.
Oh. Verstappen now slowing down. That might allow us to run away. Alright, whether Kimi Raikkonen gets past or he gets stuck behind him. 1.7 clear, it's at 2.4. They are pulling away. Take advantage of this.
Okay, I think the track will be drying out quite soon. Mind you don't burn out your tyres.
Felipe Nasr now man in front of us. We're trying to put a lap on him. He did cost the Mercedes a fair amount of time to us. He's having some problems, but it doesn't seem to be any more. His car has recovered. We kind of nudged to move him out of the way. Past the Brazilian. That causes Raikkonen some problems. He has closed the gap a little. We are then final lap of this Grand Prix, and I think Raikkonen did get held up by Felipe Nasr. Yeah, he has. He's extended the gap out. You just need to keep it clean and tidy. Even with our 3-second penalty, we will come home on the podium. Good clean start. Kept the front 3 honest for large portions of the early section of this race. Resisted the urge and the call to come in early. Switched the inters at just the right time. Chasing Verstappen, who then just sort of came to a stop on the final corner. When he did, we went round him, we took advantage, we moved into 3rd, and we've not looked back since. Raikkonen still not a million miles away there. Just got to make sure hold the gap out here. The podium would be exactly what we need after the shambles in Suzuka. And exactly what we need for our points aspirations as well, I think. There's just 3 rounds left of the season after this. Lewis Hamilton though might be on the verge of taking the 2016 title with this result, even with Rosberg in second. Lewis Hamilton does win the race, and I'd say probably, if not mathematically sealed, the title should surely be his now. Rosberg will come home second. We will come around the final corner. Hopefully more than 3 seconds ahead of Kimi Räikkönen to maintain third.
Well done, good finish. You
And
stepped up and achieved what we asked. Good job.
There were questions at the start of the season as to whether this package could really go all the way. But there's no question anymore. What a special year it's been. And here they are now, the new Formula One World Drivers' Champion. So then, it's time to see how this result affects the Drivers' Championship. Well, that result also seals the World Drivers' title. Congratulations to our winner after an incredible season. Moving on to the driver of the day then. Anthony Davidson, who would you go for?
For my money, it's definitely the Manor driver. They did a great job at getting the most out of their tyres without losing pace, something that's a very handy skill to have in modern-day Formula One.
The Constructors' title may already be decided, but with that result, Mercedes secure the Constructors' title. They've been truly outstanding since the very first round of what's been a thrilling championship. After all this drama, you'd be mad not to join us for the next race. We hope to see you then. Take care.
Well, both Drivers' and Constructors' Championships are sealed here in America. Lewis Hamilton is the 2016 Drivers' Champion, stealing it back from his teammate. That's his third in this series, fourth if you include 2008, because the records were the records before 2010, I guess. Nico Rosberg comes home second. We take third, just ahead of Kimi Räikkönen with our penalty. Fernando Alonso's fifth, and it's Verstappen down in sixth after his car failed him near the end. Vettel 7th, Hulkenberg 8th, and it's Massa and Button completing the points. Bottas, Gutierrez and Wehrlein in 13th ahead of Grosjean, Kvyat, Sainz, Ericsson in 17th, and it's Jolyon Palmer, Sergio Perez, Kevin Magnussen and Felipe Nasr are lap down. Daniel Ricciardo, the only person not to finish the race. Driver standings wise, well, 94 points clear with 3 rounds left and 75 remaining. Lewis Hamilton is champion ahead of Nico Rosberg, who pulls out a little bit more of a gap on Max Verstappen there. Raikkonen's in 4th. Then it's Vettel, Ricciardo, Bottas, Massa, Perez and Hulkenberg. We move up to 11th. We are on 77 points. We're now 10 behind Massa, 3 off our Virgin Racing score from 2010 and 11 off our score as Jenson Button last season. We're 10 clear of Jenson, who slips to 12th. There's Alonso, Kvyat, Magnussen, Wehrlein, Sainz, Gutierrez, Grosjean, Nasr, Jolyon Palmer and Marcus Ericsson. Constructors-wise, Mercedes have also won the Constructors' title ahead of Red Bull at the moment, who are just 3 clear of Ferrari. Then it's Williams, Force India, McLaren. Manor move on to 92 and we sit 7th. We are 30 behind McLaren. Might be doable with 3 rounds left. There's Toro Rosso, Renault, Haas and Sauber. And that is exactly the kind of thing we needed after what happened at Suzuka. I think if we'd held on in Japan, we would have ended up extending our run even further, because I think the points were there for the taking last time out. But we finally, well, I say finally, we get back in the points here with a solid, comfortable, fairly confident drive home to the podium. And with 3 rounds left this season, our best point score could still be very much on the cards. That was quite an enjoyable race. Intense at times, maybe not the most thrilling from a viewer's point of view. But it was hard work keeping that car on the road. But we did. Hopefully you enjoyed it anyway. Like, share, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff. You know the drill by now. I'll see you for the next one in Mexico. Take care of yourselves. Bye for now.